Hiya Tom, lovely to do another session with you out on the range. Just a quick recap on the key points that we covered. You see here on the top left your starting point. You made great progress in regards to your overall quality of strike, and the starting direction of the hands was better, but it still wasn't as we would like it. Hands just drifting up a little bit too much too soon. But as I said, movement away from the golf ball, a big improvement on last time. Ideally we would want the hands staying on hand, playing the green line just a fraction longer, like you see there with Mike Bennett. So hands in, still a key thought, but a massive improvement. Previously he got up on the red line, elbow plane very, very quickly. So P1 to P2, hands working in much better. P2 to P4, way too much upward movement. You can see what happens there straight away. The hands elevate way above elbow plane. The right arm comes away from the side, so pressure point 5 is lost. That's the right arm against the rib cage. And then from there, you've got two options as we discussed. You can either swing straight back down on that line and hit a lot of pulls and cuts, or you can try and get the club back on the inside, get the arms back on the inside. And the way you tend to do that is by extending or standing up too early. What we're going to see here is a good example of that. You're going to get the hips tucking under too fast. You're going to get the head coming off the wall. And that really is a way of you getting the club back on the inside. And you see different players demonstrate that. Jeff Ogilvy does that sort of move. It's a little bit too much under it. Rory McIlroy flexes the knees excessively to get the club back on the inside. You know, can it work? Yes. Is it high maintenance? Definitely. Is it suitable for someone who's got a full-time job and wants to play some good golf around a very demanding golf course? Definitely not. We want a lower maintenance golf swing. And that depends really on which hole you're on, which reaction you make to that top of the backswing position. So overall, top of the backswing should be on elbow plane, the red line, for reasons we discussed during your session. And remember what we're trying to do within stack and tilt. We're trying to get the player to hit it the longest, the straightest, the most often. So there's ways of hitting it further correct, there's ways of hitting it straighter, but we're trying to get a balance. We want a player to hit it as far as he can, as straight as he can, as often as he can. So the feeling that we've given you is to feel like you're going to swing and get the butt end of the golf club 6 inches behind the right shoulder. And that's the image, if you will, and the feeling was to get the club behind you more. So on the top left, too much upward, not enough inward. And if we watch what happens on this one, this is you rehearsing the move. Hands stay on the green line for longer. Top of the backswing position, completely different, much, much better. Arm plane and shoulder plane matching up with one another. Pressure point 5 here has been maintained. And from that position, Tom, you could go at it as hard as you like. All you'd have to do then is calm the closure of the club face down a little bit. If I run Mike Bennett through, hands stay on the green line, P1 to P2, P2 to P4, elevate onto the red line, and at the top of the backswing, the butt of the club is behind the right shoulder. Right shoulder, butt of the club. Massive improvement in those two positions, and that's the feeling of getting the club in behind the right shoulder. As the progression went towards the end of your session, hands now staying on the green line much longer, which is good. Elevating above or onto the red line a little bit later. Now the idea here is we've got the glove under the right arm to maintain your pressure points. And at this stage, you know, I think this image in the middle is absolutely fantastic. That's the one that you should be sort of aiming towards achieving on a consistent basis. This is a far better position, top right, than what we're seeing at the start. What happens now is the arms just come up off the rib cage a little bit. As the arms come off the rib cage, we lose a little bit of pressure here. and that again can make things a little bit chaotic in the downswing. So the feeling is really good. Is it a better swing than you were making at the start of your session? Yes. There's less loss of the pressure point. There's less lifting of the golf club. Is it as good a swing as we make here in the middle? Definitely not. So we've got 3 different images there. From that position at the top, the head doesn't come off the wall quite as much, quite as soon. The position you're arriving at P6 is much better. We've now got the club nearly on elbow plane, sorry, hand plane, which is good. We've got the hands on elbow plane. Here we've got both the hands and the club on the upper plane as a result of the incorrect backswing. As you now come through, coming in less steep, coming in slightly more from the inside, and then we've just got that overtaking work. Now, looking at it here, this is the extra work that I want you to do. Really, as you get to the top of the backswing, I'm really liking what we're doing here. Hands and arms working in sympathy with the body, looking really good at this point. Now, watch what happens. Just going to put a line on the underside of the right arm. The arms lift. The arms lift. We talked about the pressure under the right arm and how you can feel it in different levels. You need to max that out. You really need to discipline that top of the backswing and cut out that little lift at the top. With that lifting up at the top, we're still going to need to tuck the hips and get the head coming off the wall to get the arms back in. So that's the arms lifting off the circle and lifting off the plane. So a little bit of work on that, really tighten that up. Getting a little bit more flex forward in the knees at that point, which is good. And then what we need to work hard on now is reducing the amount at which we roll the club face and collapse the wrist. And that's the quick left one that you get. That, allied to the initial backswing that you make, is not a good combination. So a little bit of extra work, hitting some punch shots where you really keep the handle leading, you really keep the handle forward, keep the face quiet, rather than being released and flipped through impact. Having said that, if you can go from the top of the backswing position that we're seeing here, on the top left, to the top of the backswing that we're now seeing on the right hand side, then the golf course is going to be a much wider and more enjoyable place to be when you go out playing in 2013, because there is a far, far different sequence of moves required here than is required here. And rest assured that the sequence of moves required for the guy on the right is a lot lower maintenance and easier to repeat. So plenty of work on that feeling that the club is working into a position that is 6 inches behind the right shoulder, rather than working up too quickly as the arms separate from the torso. Great work, great changes there in the backswing. We've just got to make this feel real, and then you're flying. Good luck with it. Can't wait to work with you in 2013. Keep up the good work. Have a great Christmas. Well done.